video. And before we get into the video, please go on and click the thumbs up button. Subscribe to the channel if you're new here. Let's go on and get into the video. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another WILDWOODS Beekeeping podcast. Thank y'all for joining us tonight. And tonight we have Tim and Hannah from Gun on Beats down there in Mobile, around the Mobile area. So thank y'all for joining us tonight. I appreciate y'all spending some time.
We appreciate the invite, man. We're looking forward to this evening.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I guess y'all always watch the live streams. Y'all know how I always start out my live streams. I would appreciate if y'all would just briefly share with us, the viewers who may not know y'all, kind of who y'all are and a little bit about yourselves and kind of how y'all got into beekeeping.
You want to go or you want me to go? Well, anybody that don't know us, we in the northern part of Mobile County down here along the Gulf Coast. This is our 5th or 6th season into beekeeping. We just kind of a mom and pop, if you will, as we like to call it. Just trying to keep some bees, get a little bit of honey, and
make some friends.
Yeah, make some good friends along the way.
Yeah, absolutely. Beekeeping is my favorite thing. I always enjoy talking to beekeepers. Whenever I started, getting into my what I don't know what it was, my third or fourth year. This is kind of where I started to do videos and stuff like that. Sharing what I do, and there's I had no idea about a community. The only reason why I was doing videos was just to share people, kind of what I do, mainly my family and mainly people local. And Bob, from over there, Walker Bee Ranch, just found me, and then I went on his live stream, and there things went, with the whole community. So this is a great community, and have so many beekeepers to learn from and talk to and learn from, on these beekeeping chats, the guests who I get on, like y'all and other people, and I learn from those people and people in the chat. So this is a great community,
Indeed, it is. We've met some very nice folks, all the way from commercial people, but more so along just the hobbyist or side. Yeah, just some fine folks out here in the beekeeping community.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So before we get into some topics, I have a couple topics, not a whole lot, just a couple that I have that I can ask, because I have to keep them on my notes or I'll forget them. But I just want to look around and see who we got in comments. We have a good amount of folks in here already. We have Jack and Danae from G&DSBs. Good to see you. A lot of beekeepers. So Richard, Mr. DC, Dave. I actually just watched one of your videos, Dave, and I also have Jessica, and we also have Randy, the Tar Heel Beekeeper. So thank you all for joining tonight. Please go on and click the thumbs up button and check out Tim and Hannah's YouTube channel. We have a YouTube. I think I did put it in the description below. I did do that. But so I guess we'll go on and start with our first topic. Let me pull them up here. Y'all recently made a video. People can check it out about swarm traps. So I kind of want to focus on some of the new spring things, since down here, we have more things to do and keep us busy. So I wanted to ask y'all, how do y'all set y'all swarm traps out? How do you bait them?
Well, this last year or two is when we've kind of really branched out beyond here at the house, and I'll kind of get into a little more of that here in just a second. But right now, we're just using some medium and deep boxes loaded, and the deeps are on the top. We got 1 8 frame and we got 1 10 frame out right now.
Mm-hmm.
And that medium on the bottom is completely empty.
Mm-hmm.
We got a few of those set out for some swarm trapping. Then we got a little 5 frame nuke, if you will, set up for some swarm traps. But
y'all seeing that video, I was so excited to be putting swarm traps out. I'm tripping over my own feet, putting the boxes on backwards.
indeed, she was.
I was pumped. I was so excited to be smelling bee boxes and putting swarm traps out.
The last few years, we really didn't, I guess, set any swarm traps out, except
We
for
had so
just at
much
the
trouble keeping up with swarm sales at home. We really didn't have to put traps out, I guess.
No, because we was speaking with somebody the other day about this a little bit, and it was I'll say our at least first through third season, we didn't even have to set a box out. We just would have an empty box or something like that here in the yard. And we had several swarms just show up at the house, and we know it wasn't anything that would come from the yard. It would just be some swarms, I'm going to say, in the general area that would show up. So for us, we really didn't have to put any out. And we was at a point too that we done plumb run out of stuff to put bees in. And we had about 18 or so colonies whenever we was running full throttle. And like she said, it was enough to keep us busy between swarms coming in off of that and staying busy here at the house. But now most everybody knows our story. So this year, most definitely, we're trying to take advantage of the swarm season a little bit more than we normally would, and try to get those free bees.
Yeah,
But we baited them with the little homemade swarm lure.
Normally, we would just bait. The first few years, we would just bait with, lemongrass like everybody else would. We tried a couple different swarm lures, and we just kind of, I guess, more or less went back to just using lemongrass. Then last year, we heard several people talking about making a long-lasting swarm lure by infusing beeswax. We added propolis to it and some coconut oil and the lemongrass we put in, and we made a cake, if you will. Kind of looks like a little mini cupcake with what we had it in, one of those little pans. And all you do is just rub it on whatever you want to put it on the top of the frames, inside the boxes, around the entrances. And we had okay luck with it last year. We had 1 or 2 swarms we got off of it for sure. Miss Sarah at Sarah's Happy Hive, she made her a batch of it, and she got her a couple of swarms. So this year, we're going to try to use that in boxes that are a little further away from us, so we're not having to go refresh boxes, say every 2 to 3 weeks or so.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, recently set some swarm, at least one swarm trap out. I need to put some more out. I'm going to see kind of how it goes. I did do some swarm traps last year. I never got anything on it, but this year, I got a recommendation from Philip from RTX Honeybees. He's another guy in our little community here, and he just gave me a little idea. Like I always try to take ideas from other people. Try it out, see how it works. And I just basically what I did was just a double nuke box. The top was with one comb bait, and then the other 4 just were empty, and then the bottom was empty, so because more space. And also that's kind of how I did mine last week, and I did video, of course. And yeah, I'm hoping to catch some swarms. Free bees are the best that you can have. So I mean, hopefully we'll see how those go. I plan to hopefully also catch some if people have any, then I'll catch them as well.
I was speaking to a gentleman. You probably heard us mention him on our Sunday fellowship, but he's down in Zimbabwe, down in South Africa, down there. And I was kind of picking his brain a little bit, Vincent Kalunga. And I was just asking, man, what do you use down there to lure swarms into your boxes? I didn't know if maybe they use an essential oil like we did, or
they got their own concoction.
Yeah, if they made their own stuff or what. But he said the only thing that he uses down there, and that's pretty well what everybody uses, the way he was telling me, but they'll collect extra propolis and just keep it, kind of bundle it all up and make a big gumball of it. But when swarm season starts getting around, he said he'll just melt that stuff down to a good liquid and take some straw and brush the inside of his swarm traps with that propolis. And that's all he uses. And he says he has very, very good luck down there, which,
that's pretty cool.
Granted, too, they live in a very poor country. So they don't have the benefits and luxuries like we do to go to a store and buy something, or get something off Amazon in a couple of days. So that they have to kind of compensate on how they do different things. So a lot of ways that he keeps his bees is from the old ways, being more natural uses.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is pretty interesting. There's Lee from Kodiak Farm. Good to see you, Lee. Yeah, Jessica says I can see how that would work. Yeah, I think that would work as well. Yeah. So I guess I'll go on and get to our next topic. Let's see here. There's three more topics that I have. The next one I want to ask was y'all's plans for spring. Growing, where y'all want to grow to, and etc.
Definitely want to grow. I think we would love to get up to 20 or 25, but realistically, I'll be happy if we can get to like between 12 to 15 this year at least, and stick with our peppermint and eucalyptus, and Lord willing, with all the snow we had this year, that surprise fertilizer from the Lord, maybe we'll have like a really good spring and kind of get a jump start. I'm not even so much studying a honey crop this year. I mean, I would be overjoyed if we got some honey this year, but really, really, really want to focus on getting a stable bee yard built back up. Mr. Randy said 20 or 25 chocolate chip cookies. Yeah. No, Lord willing, that's our plan. Like, we've got a buddy down the road that still has a few colonies, and we're going to do some splits off of his and at least get a couple going in the yard. And then, Lord willing, some traps and stuff, and we'll at least hit a dozen this year. I think that'll give us a really good jump start to do some splits and do some major growth next year.
Yeah.
So I guess maybe our 3rd year plan would be get a good honey crop, but I'll just be happy if we can get back on our feet good this spring and summer. But we're already getting so much blooming. Like, I'm praying it'll be a really productive spring for us.
And if if things work out, we really can't say too much on this yet. So I know it's kind of a cliffhanger, but if things work out, we're going to be helping a gentleman probably do some cutouts, and between what he don't want to take home, we'll be more than happy to bring here to the house, and hopefully that'll help
Boost us a
kickstart.
little bit too.
Absolutely, especially if we can get on something in the early spring while the bees are, kind of in a swarm mode and ready to build, and that queen, she's cranking on up real good. So we just see how it goes. I reckon.
Yeah,
Lots of
absolutely.
fun this year.
I'm hopefully hoping to get up to 8 high. That's kind of where I want to go. I went in with 6 colonies last year. I have 4, which isn't bad or anything. That's pretty decent. For take in and take out of winter. And so I just hope to get up to 8 colonies. I have I have multiple hives that are they're doing really well, and everything I say it can change quickly. It's pretty beekeeping is something that you have to have a plan B or a plan C, or that's every time I'm on my live streams or things talking about plans, I always say I cannot guarantee that this is going to happen, because something can change drastically, and it could be the opposite of what I say. So I always be careful with into that, but hope at least I just want to get up to 8 hives. I'd be happy there going into winter. But if I get more, that's awesome. That'd be great if I can get more than that. And I'd probably be able to if once swarm season comes in, if I do it the right way. But I'm gonna go around 8 colonies more. That's gonna be great. I've 4 good colonies. I'll check them today. I'm starting to do some sugar syrup feeding and get them built up. I have one that's it's already kind of starting up to go up to their double deep. I did the video. I think y'all were actually in the premiere when I premiered it. Man, these colonies are looking very, very good. I'm excited for this year. Since last year, I think I came out with 1 colony, and that last year was pretty much a rebuild year, trying to get my bee yard stable. I was only had 1 colony. It'd be kind of hard to get back up. I was able to get some nukes. Not all of those did survive over winter, but once I do have these 4 colonies, if I do it right, I can come out with 8 or even more.
Well, we figured out in this beekeeping thing that there's going to be years of success and there's going to be years of failure in some ways. Some ways you can prevent, and some ways that no matter what you do, you're not going to be able to prevent it, such as say, if you have a bad fall flow and worrying about bees starving out and things along that line. So we've definitely figured out that there's a highs and lows for sure in this beekeeping business, where you just kind of like we say, a mom and pop or sideliner and on up there.
Yeah.
PC from plan A all the way to plan F.
Yep. There's multiple times where I'm out with beard. I have this one plan that I want to do. I have it set, the way I want to do it, and I've been thinking it for like 2-3 days or whatever, and right when I get out there, the bees tell me otherwise, and then right then I have to figure out some plans. So every time I'm doing things, I'm planning up for a spring. I've been planning up different things that I can do, like multiple things that I can lay on the table. If hey, this plan A don't work, I'll be out there. I don't have to be in a panic, figure out what to do next. But yeah, let's see. I probably got up to a plan D or something. Probably. We do have a question from Brian J. Mayer. I think Hannah answered it. But have you guys ever tried Russian honeybees in the South? I'd be curious on how they would do in a southern climate.
I kind of gave him like a really brief answer. We haven't, that we know of, we haven't messed with them like just a pure Russian bees, but most of ours have been like Italian mutts, blended Italian, whatever you want to call them. But we do know a couple people, not quite as far south as we are, but still in the South, that run Russians and like have nothing but good things to say about them. They even invited us to come a couple times and just, I think they're maybe 3 hours north of us or so.
No, ain't that maybe hour and a half, 2 hours north and west of us.
I think we're going to take him up on it maybe one day this summer. Go up, and he said, we can just come, kind of play in the bees a little while and kind of get a feel for them, I guess. But like I said, to our knowledge, we hadn't run up on any Russians, so don't have any personal experience with them, but I don't have anything against them either. We just don't know that much about them.
I really don't know exactly either. When I've had a lot of spicy bees. I've always suspected at least 2 of my hives from a while back were Russians. I really didn't know. They could be Russian mixed with Italians for all I know, but I just know they were a little bit more spicy. 2 colonies that I can remember. One, I did a video. I was doing some splits, and they were nasty. I mean, I went in there and they're all over my veil, and that ended up being my most popular video on the channel. I wasn't even really trying to make it good or anything. It was just all these bees everywhere, all the camera or whatever, and I went out there and they're mean, but I never really know for sure that that they're purebred Russians or anything like that. But they could be Russian. Those are probably Russian mutts or something mixed out there, around here. But even down here, it can be a touch spicy. All my bees are Italians right now. That's all I'm running. Italians are my favorite because they build up a little bit earlier than a lot of others. Like Carniolans and those. They take a little longer. I kind of like mine to build up early since we have much early, most times early spring.
Yeah, we kind of get a jump start on the season from everybody else.
But I was telling a gentleman about this the other day. A good friend of ours, we speak a lot, Lance. Long story short on that, he had some pretty spicy bees. We would go through and we would check every single colony, and for the most part, they would be, good and gentle bees. But for some reason, when we got to this one colony, they would always just tear us up.
Hateful.
So, talking to my friend, I said, look, we'll do away with that queen. Now, listen to my words here. This is where we messed up and experience comes in. So, told him, we'll do away with the queen and we'll let them raise their own queen and see if another queen to kind of calm them down. Well, if we'd have gotten a queen from a different colony, perhaps, but we let them raise their own queen from the same package. So we fast forward a little bit. The queen goes out, does her thing, comes back, and a few weeks later, we start getting, a good brood off of her. Well, those bees is pretty well still the same spiciness. We didn't change nothing. Well, I told my buddy once again, I said, we'll do away with the queen. And whenever I said everything, I didn't mean everything. That was just my wordage to him. And all he heard apparently was get rid of the queen and everything.
But we meant like we're going to pull a queen cell from a totally separate colony that is 20 times calmer than these bees and put them in. But he called back the next day and he had put the whole colony in the deep freeze.
Done away with everybody.
Done away with all.
He unalived every single bee in that box.
You didn't have to do that. Like got your queen in there. But hey, live and learn.
That's it.
That's pretty funny. This kind of goes along with the topic right now. J. Mater, darker queens in your house at all, or mostly the light color queens.
Ours are it's very, very rare that we see like a solid black queen, but I guess they would most of them are like a darker caramel color, I guess. Not that like light, pretty blonde color, but I guess like burnt caramel.
Uh,
I don't really know how to describe them.
we haven't seen any queens like that, but we have a picture of a worker bee. We was doing some feeding outside. We just had a little bit of honey and some spoon. We was just feeding the bees one day just out of fun. And they had found that spoon, and you know how it goes. One bee will find it and she'll bring 10 back.
Mm-hmm.
Well, as the bees was foraging back and forth out of that little spoon, we seen this one little old worker, and she was jet black. I mean, there wasn't no kind of orange, yellow, or nothing on her, but she was really pretty, and she shined a whole bunch. And I got a picture of that thing on one of these cell phones. And
Like even like when we open feed sugar water, I mean we'll see bukus of solid black bees, but I don't think I've ever. I think we've had one queen that was just about solid black, but most of them are that like dark caramel color again.
yeah,
Good evening, Mike, and Larimore Farms, and we also have James in the house. So thank y'all for checking in. But yeah, that's a pretty funny story there. Let's see. Let's go on to the next topic. Now this is actually pretty much the last topic I have in store for tonight. It's a pretty big one. I kind of asked multiple people this. And what are some lessons that y'all have learned throughout y'all's beekeeping journey, in beekeeping?
well, I know you only have a show for 1 hour, so we could probably go 3 or 4 hours on the lessons we've learned.
Pick and choose. How big of a disaster story do you?
I guess somebody had asked us that not too long ago, and the most valuable answer, I guess, that I can give, Hannah, she may have another experience, but on my end is look into, start studying ahead of time on things, whether no matter it's feeding or pest control or just general, equipment, that type thing.
Like what you say all the time on your shows, Grayson. You say be more intentional and less reactive.
Mhm.
So like being able to look ahead and foresee those possible situations.
Educate yourself prior to, instead of trying to educate yourself whenever things are going south. That way you can recognize signs of, starvation or pest or, not a good pollen flow, anything along those lines, sick bees, poison bees.
Like teaching yourself earlier on how to identify
Yes,
those things coming up.
that would be my biggest piece of that.
I think probably the hardest lesson I've learned is that even though, like, if y'all watch our channel at all, you can tell how much I love honeybees. I think the hardest lesson I've learned so far is that my love for honeybees and my desire to get in the boxes and play with the bees every week is a bigger hindrance to them than it is, joy for me, I guess. That's one thing I told him I'm definitely going to work on this spring is trying to not look at them as pets, I guess, and keep our inspections like to a minimum, just get in and do the beetle treatments, make sure everything looks good, and then, like not breaking down the whole hive kind of thing every time I go in. So I think that was probably my hardest lesson to accept, that, I'm messing them up trying to be in them all the time. So, I don't know.
I learned that same exact lesson. There was this one time where I went into multiple colonies, and every time I'd go in there, I'd open every single thing. I wouldn't stop, and I had a chat with, I can't remember who it was, but we are talking about the same thing, and it sets the bees back a little bit. Whenever you're not really being intentional in the beehives, and I was not intentional whatsoever. I was not. That's one of my biggest lessons as well. Is trying to learning how to be more intentional of what I'm doing, and I think I've done better at that. But of course, there's room for improvement and so on, and there's a lot more things to learn. That's one thing. There's a lot more things to learn in beekeeping, but yeah, I do agree with Stan there. But that I learned that bees don't read some of the things in the bee books. To develop your own style that works for you.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Figure out the fundamentals of things, and then start figuring out what works for you.
Yeah.
Because I agree 100%. We was in a profession for many, many years of, okay, this is what it says in the book, but when it came to the field, you
can
kind of
throw that book out the window.
Yeah, because
Just about.
because what you're trying to do out in the field, oftentimes the fundamentals of it lined up in the book, but you constantly had to adjust and readjust in what you was doing to succeed in the task at hand.
Yeah. DC says, I felt sorry for my first hive. I got them in so much. I got them in them so much they started to get grumpy.
I can relate. I can absolutely relate. But that is something I'm going to try really hard to work on. Especially since I have to be so much more careful in the bee yard now. Like, I'm hoping that maybe doing it like that, I'll be creating less scenarios for the bees to get spicy and just mess things up in the bee yard. But
and we can maybe use this as an example for us. My buddy Lance, going back to his place last year, we had a stretch where we wasn't able to get into his bees, and it was pretty well. We went all through winter and wasn't able to do anything late fall, definitely not do anything during winter. And whenever it got around this time last year in spring, we went back over to check the bees and see how things was going over at his place. And I think it was around 6 or so months that we had no contact with the bees at all. And when we went back, those boxes were just crammed full of bees. They had plenty enough stores and to get them in the spring and then some.
Because they weren't distracted with the mess a beekeeper made, tearing their whole house apart and putting it back together.
Not at all. I mean, we literally, we had boxes swarming in front of us before we could get in and actually tend to the bees and start doing splits and stuff. That those bees, we can say that they done much better than the years prior to that, with us going in doing an inspection every 7 or 10 days. Popping the lid and just looking, and not necessarily trying to pull a bunch of frames. We just making sure they got plenty of feed, pull one frame to see if we see eggs. If we did, boom.
And I guess that was another, not a hard lesson to learn, but that was a very, very valuable lesson for me to learn, was because I just kind of went along with my husband when he came to me and was like, look, I want us to get into bees. I didn't know anything except honey was good kind of thing when I went into this with him. But I lost where I was going with that. Oh, learning. But finding other beekeepers at least close to your area, and I mean when I say close, I mean like within an hour or two drive, so you'll be dealing with at least very similar environment kind of thing, very similar food sources for the bees, and watch what they do Watch what works for them. You can learn a lot of lessons by watching somebody else that has a lot more experience than you, like Mike Berry or Mr. Ed or the Dirt Rooster, all these big names all of us in this little community know, but we learned a lot from them as far as like what to look for, what we need to be doing with our bees, what our bees should look like, how they should be performing, that kind of thing. But along with watching beekeepers close to you to learn what's good and what works for them, so you can take bits and pieces from everybody and find your own style and routine and what's going to work for you. But don't get too cocky when these experts make it look so easy in their videos, because your first couple rounds with it, ours was nothing like we thought it was going to go, from watching these guys that know what they're doing because they've been doing it for 20 years.
Yeah, and Irene was doing a cutout when she says that. We went in our very first cutout and we was watching some videos. We was like, oh, these people make it look easy. Ain't gonna be nothing to it. And buddy, it's a total different story going in your first run and going, okay, now what's the next step they said to do?
Yeah.
On our end, it was a total disaster and failure. Our very first cutout. We are humble enough to admit that. That's for sure.
We went home with our tail between our
Yes, and then some.
Yeah, I mean, go ahead. Oh, yeah. Look, most times, whenever I'm, watching these, it look really easy. But that was especially my first years. Whenever I was starting to get into beekeeping and all, I kept on watching. I was like, that seems easy. But then right whenever I try it, I mean, it's not as easy as it looks.
No, mercy no.
DC said, Lee says, my bees must be looking good. I don't ever have time to mess with them.
Well, I mean, when we was over there, his bees were looking pretty doggone good. Especially just now starting to get into our spring, if you will, because it was, when was it, February? The last weekend of February, we went over and visited with Lee.
Yeah.
And or build up
really full box.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Brian J. Mater says, I'm glad we do not have beetles up here in Wisconsin. Yep.
Count your blessings.
Amen to that.
The beetles, I haven't seen any just yet. I haven't seen a whole lot, but it's about that time.
Yeah, it's getting close.
Yeah. Anytime I open up the hives and I see those, I mean, I hate those things. I mean, they're so annoying whenever I find them. But the good thing is, whenever I'm in the hives, I find when we were talking about staying in the house too long, that one cure that you can do to keep yourself from being from going into the hive, but while being productive, is smashing those beetles all day. You can just sit there trying to smash all those beetles. I mean, yeah, they can be a problem. Especially during drifts, whenever it's really there's a big drought, and they're looking for hives and stuff. It can be really bad, especially what was it, 2023? I've mentioned it multiple times, and it's just that year was rough. I mean, but last year was pretty much better. You were able to get a much better crop, and was able to do some extraction last year, which was great. I actually sold some more honey today. Another bottle for some folks around here. So see, we have John at 5280 Beekeeping. Thanks for checking in, John, and multiple other people joining in as we speak. So
yeah, getting a crowd in here, Grayson.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Let me make sure I didn't miss comments. These comments were flying by so fast when we were talking. I wasn't even able to pick up any of them. Especially when these chats go by fast, it's hard to do that. If anybody has questions, please feel free to put them in the comment section. Feel free. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this season. I'm hoping that maybe get some honey, maybe touch honey, but this year I think I'm probably gonna be focusing more on expanding and growing my bee yard up to 8 to 10 hives. That's what Jessica says. Well, that's kind of my goal to get up to that amount of hives, and then next year we'll be much more able to do more. Honey, we'll see how the season goes. I'll document and stuff like that. I've been trying to do a lot of videos, kind of showing what I'm doing. That's always fun.
Well, and on that end, I guess let me say this, that one thing that we've kind of picked up and figured it out too is your first couple years, do what you know you can manage. Don't try to overwhelm yourself with a whole bunch of high numbers. Now, if you're picking up good enough and you're beginning to understand and like I say, pick up on things, that's wonderful and great. But I would say maybe for your second year at least, kind of find out what's a good number for you to work at. That way you're definitely not overwhelming yourself trying to keep up with 20 colonies whenever okay, I can keep 10 or 12, and I'm not trying to push too much on my end. I'm not putting my bees in any kind of bind as far as just not having enough resources or boxes or equipment or anything like that to keep things going, because it can be overwhelming pretty quick. I'm gonna say on having too many out there before you get an idea on things.
Yeah, I've always tried to focus on quality over quantity. Yeah, that's what I've been doing lately, and I've always tried to get up big numbers. It's never worked. So what I'm trying to do is trying to keep quality, strong colonies, and over having so many halves, 20, 30 halves that are weak, and I end up back where I would be, having 8 colonies but strong ones. That's what I've been trying to focus on, because there's multiple times where I would get up to 15 colonies, which is a decent number, and those were weak. Most of them were all weak colonies. None of them were really focused on strong and strength. Trying to go into winter, that's the main reason why 2023 was a bad year, was because I wasn't really focusing on keeping quality colonies. I try to get up to where I couldn't handle that much. So I've been able to stick around 6, 8, 10. Been pretty good for me.
Yeah.
Beekeeping can be pretty challenging when you work 60 hours a week away from the farm. Trying not to overwhelm myself, raising chickens also.
Yes, indeed. Because beekeeping most definitely isn't our number one as far as an income. We work for ourselves, and doing that, it puts quite the strain on as far as time in a lot of ways, because if you work for somebody, then for the most part, all you got to do is just get up at a certain time in the morning, go to work for X amount of hours, and come home. And we have to do that the same way, but we have to go speak with the customer. We have to go get the material for that job, and we have to get that material on the job before we even start. So we may be a day or two trying to get things lined out before we even actually start a job that we're working on. And I agree with them that if you don't have enough hours in the day to keep the bees, then, or keep what you can handle, then things can get in a bind pretty quick.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey Keith, good to see you. Just got home from county bee meeting.
Peace filming.
Yeah.
Keith, Pastor Larry says if y'all could email all of us some of those chocolate chip cookies, that would be awesome.
I'm getting a mailing list together because Danae wants me to overnight her a plate next time I take them. So Miss Leona, I'll add her to the mailing list.
I'm working 70 to 84 hours a week.
Oh, Lee, that's miserable.
Oh, hey, while we got Lee in here real quick, Lee, you remember when we came to your studio, I had a red button to push. Well, Grayson give me the opportunity to push a red button in his chat tonight too. So once
Great example you set, Lee.
once I figure out where that button is, I'm gonna smash that bad boy on the screen, and we'll see what we can come up with here.
There you go, Lee. You gotta watch Timmy.
Oh, he's ridiculous.
I hope some of y'all didn't have your TVs turned up too loud.
Seriously. You should have gave a headphone warning before you go hitting red buttons. Yep, you got Richard, you got DC.
Oh yeah.
Mr. Mike. Oh my heavens.
Pretty good, right?
Pretty funny.
You got Lee. I don't know, he might have had headphones on in the crane. My wife said, "What the world is going on?"
I tell you, like I told Philip last night, if I could high five you right now, I would, Grayson.
Yeah. Thank you. Yep. Mike killing. Yep. Kill the mic.
Yeah, get them going. But
Lord.
I see we're getting close to your time, and I know you like to stay on a schedule. So while we kind of in a lull for a second, we want to say that we look forward to what you do on your beekeeping end. It's wonderful to see youth out here picking up on the beekeeping, because if it wasn't for the youth, then we wouldn't have another generation of beekeepers. And I believe that it's very, very important for us adults to encourage and to support our youth in beekeeping, whether it's, here on YouTube, or you're in, some type of group where younger generation come together and want to do their own beekeeping around the house, got your own kind of bee club or whatever the case may be. We want to say, Grayson, please continue to doing what you do, because you're a great example.
I was gonna say you're setting a really good example, Grayson. You really are.
Absolutely. Thank you. I try my best to have a good example, for all of us younger beekeepers who, want to get into beekeeping. I actually had multiple, one time on the video, two younger people who, are friends of ours, and, try to get them in beekeeping. It's always great. And, to get younger beekeepers in here, like you said, it's our, new generation of beekeepers. So I appreciate it.
Yeah. Keep up the good work.
Thank you. Have Granado Honey. Thanks for checking in.
Hello, Jeremy. That's one of the Texans out there.
Yep. Absolutely. We have 13 more minutes left. So if anybody does have any more questions, we'll answer those. We're getting close to the end, again, real quick, early on, I just want to say thank y'all for joining tonight. It's been really fun. It's gone by very, very quickly. I'm still getting used to the time change. That's one thing, trying to get used to, because, right before this chat started, it was like whatever what it was, 5:30, 5 o'clock, I was looking at the time. Is it really 5:30? Time to get ready for live stream. I'm getting used to it, because, at that time it would have been 4:30. So I think everybody's getting used to it, but just never, in a couple more days, I'll get used to it and roll as usual. But
it's going to take him a couple of days to get used to it. It's going to take the rest of us 8 months to get back online. Cause the time change. God love you, brother. Wish we could adjust that quick too.
Seriously.
Yeah. I remember waking up, I was like, usually get up 8:30, 9:30. I got 8:30, and actually it would have been 9:30, but it was actually 10 o'clock, and I was like, is it really this time? And that's just how it goes. We'll get used to it and get back to how it usually goes.
But I will say, I'm looking forward to more daylight throughout the day.
Yeah.
Maybe I can stay up a little later.
I was looking outside at 5:30, 6 o'clock, it's still daylight, I wasn't really used to it. I'm like, it's supposed to be dark at this time.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a question from Larimore Farms, and he says, as far as beekeeping, where do you see yourself in 10 years? That's a long time away. Let's see here. I'm 15. I'll be 25 in 10 years.
So I'm not going to say how old I'm going to be in 10 years.
Yeah, I'm probably still a decent. Maybe I could see myself getting up to a sideliner at the most, but probably 25, 50. That's just, I'm just hoping somewhere around there. That's what I'd hope to be around, just to make some income. That's what I kind of want to be. I kind of want to try to make this as a living in the future, not right now, just yet. Just kind of what I'm doing is trying to build the foundation. It's kind of what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a smart thing to do.
Absolutely.
We hope our goal. Me and Hannah has kind of really talked a lot this year on trying to figure out where to take things, and our ultimate goal absolutely is just to where we can make a living off of it. We're the kind of folks, we're not studying being rich as long as we can make a living. Don't get me wrong, be great, be rich. But as long as we can make a living and, have it to where put a little bit back to save up and that kind of stuff. Sideliner, possibly up to 100 colonies, but I don't think we'd want to go above 100 colonies.
Yeah.
Just kind of hearing other folks discuss how much more complicated once you kind of get to that 100 mark is whenever you begin to having to reach out and start hiring people, or get a couple extra hands here and there to
That's what
help keep up.
Larry said about Grayson's plan, 25 to 50. He said, okay, so about 100.
Maybe I think that could be the most. I'm not sure, but maybe we'll see. Time will tell. I want to make a living out of it here in the future. Just this year, just kind of keep building up and keep learning. I think that's the best thing I can do. Just keep learning, get better at what I do. So maybe Keith, Larimore, maybe I'll get up there to 100. We'll see.
Hey, we never know. Grayson could be the next Benny.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Hey, Grayson.
Just have that knowledge about yourself and learning how to take care of them bees, given the wisdom of it. It may be something that you pick up and you just can take on off with it.
Mm-hmm. I'm laughing at these men in this chat.
Uh-oh.
It's just hilarious that they think you actually wash dishes.
Oh, I'm a dishwashing individual, I tell you.
I think he's got a fever, y'all.
When I wash them, I didn't say.
Oh yeah, you're starting to grow, DC. Starting to get out there. We got to watch. Yep, he said. John says that's a lot of work if you have a full-time job too.
Yeah. Because I'm definitely getting to the point. I've been doing construction for
25.
Yes, 25 years. And I'm beginning to get to the point of I do not want to finish the rest of my life in construction. It's getting, I'm burning out in it. I guess I'll put it like that, as far as what we do for work. And I'm ready to hang them tool bags up and find an alternate route in a living.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
He said that's what paper plates are for. Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, absolutely. That's hilarious. Let's see. Let me make sure I didn't miss any comments. These comments are continuing to go by. We have a good amount. We have Brian and everybody. So good to see y'all. Thank y'all. Jay, we're 6 minutes. We got 6 minutes more of this chat. So if you have any questions that we'll answer, and we'll kind of get towards the end. This chat's gone pretty fast, like I just said earlier, and so this is a very fun. This is a very fun chat, and I appreciate everybody joining in. It's been a fun tonight. A lot of topics, proactive swarms and a whole bunch of other things. I'm sure there's a whole bunch of things that we didn't go over just yet, but we'll have time over here in the bee season once everything gets going. We'll have more to talk about and all. But
I'm ready for that. On our chat, I think that's why we end up derailing so bad in Sunday fellowship, because there's nothing going on with bees this time of year.
Absolutely, that's happened to me multiple times. Live stream planned or whatever, that's why I've been doing these topics. You guys have been seeing I've been doing these. That's the reason why I'm doing them, because anytime, whenever I go on, YouTube and go live and have plans just to, answer questions, there's a lot of topics to talk about. And I ramble about the same things, trying to figure out a topic in my head. Anytime I'm talking, it's a circle thing going in my head, figuring out what I'm going to bring up next. That's why, every once in a while, then when these live streams, I figure out good topics beforehand, so I'm not, spinning my head figuring out topics to think about, which is very much to help me out when I'm doing live streams.
Indeed, the chat helps out a great deal, because we have most definitely figured out doing these live streams that you can come up with a topic and go through, and you think you got enough in there to cover the amount of time that you're on. Then before you knew it, you done ran through everything that you had in 30 minutes or so, and it's kind of like, well, where do we go from here now?
Yeah.
So
that actually happened to me recently. There's one where I had a presentation. I thought it might last me at least maybe 40 minutes, hopefully, and no, it only lasted me like 20 minutes. It took me that quick to get through, and I have 40 minutes left. I'm saying, guys, what are we gonna do here? I mean, pop up, and sure enough, there were a whole bunch of questions I was able to answer. Thank you. And I don't know what it was.
It's one of them. Y'all help us out now. We're fixing to feed off the chat.
Brian just asked one.
See.
Yeah, Grayson, he can pull it up.
Raccoons or skunks mess with your house in the South a lot. Bears.
Yeah. We've never personally, thank God, had major trouble with it, but there's a man just a few miles from us. Well, by the way, the crow flies. He wouldn't be too many miles from us, but he had so much trouble with bears that he ended up literally getting two of those big old, the shipping contain, like the Connex boxes or whatever, two of those metal building things, and setting them 20 feet apart or whatever, and built a platform on top of them and moved all of his colonies up there to restart.
He sure did. And in a way, I get why he done it, but in the same time, I even asked the fellow, I was like, man, I said, how in the world are you gonna keep just climbing up and down a ladder to get up there to those colonies? He's like, well, yeah, until it's time to go to pulling some honey, then I'll get
that
the
was
tractor.
our follow-up question. Like, man, how are you going to do honey supers, 20 foot up and down an extension ladder? But what he said, he built it like to where the bucket of his tractor stretched all the way up, will just barely hit that floor, so he can lift stuff up and down and then just climb up onto the platform and unload. But I mean, I guess you got to do what you got to do.
And we have skunks. We have plenty of them around here. Not saying they haven't been in them, especially whenever the bees go to bearding during the hotter months. But we haven't caught any out in the yard getting them. But
like, we haven't had hives destroyed by them, thank God.
No.
But there are plenty of skunks and coons to go around down here.
Yeah, Jessica, you're welcome. I've been trying to, share my journey as much as I can. Brian J. Mater says, up here in Wisconsin, we have bear problems. Always have electric fence around our hives, or bears can clean up all the honey. Yeah.
Oh
yeah. Absolutely. See, we have so Brian, 2 bears were spotted within a mile of our farm this winter. I'm hoping that the shepherds help keep them away from hives.
wow.
I think that's kind of what helps us a little bit. We got these bigger dogs around here, and they're constantly barking or carrying on of some sort.
Yeah.
And
we know there's bears around here. The man right by, well, like, there's our land, couple acres, I guess, behind us, and then like a big clear cut. And there's a man that lives on the other side of that clear cut, but he had pictures of a good sized black bear on his game camera on the edge of that clear cut. So we know they're around here for sure, but
I've been seeing, like, on my trail cams, I've been seeing deer, turkey, and some and some coyotes, and that's about it.
yeah.
Yeah. Also, Grayson knows a little bit about construction too. Asked him to build a project last weekend. Yep, last weekend, we went to the river. That's where you called me up. Around Monday, and that's why I did my last one. We had a dock pretty much rotten all the top cover, so I just took all them out and put some one on it. It's all brand new. I wish I had. It'd be pretty cool to be able to pop it up. A bunch of other things that I wish I would have done, to pop up some pictures, because also I went and out down at my grandma's house, and she had some red buds of those red pink flowers on there, and a whole bunch of bees are on there getting pollen. I did some video, very nice looking bees. But yeah, I do some construction too. I do a little bit, not everything. Still learning more about that, but I just do basic stuff. Beehive stands, or if I need to make up a box, I can do that as well.
Keep on doing it, because, buddy, we all had to learn somewhere. We all had a beginning to where we had to learn to do, whether it's construction or beekeeping, anything like that. But just carry on and try to learn as much as you can, especially from the men folk in the building part.
Because that's a skill you can take with you for the rest of your life, kind of thing.
Yeah. And to be honest with you, whenever your generation gets on up another, let's say 10, 20 years, there's not a whole lot of people that know how to do construction.
You'll be in demand, Grayson.
Yeah, you'll be able to name your own price whenever it comes to doing a job. So if you have a basic skill in that, then you can say, yeah, I'll come by and fix that for you for X amount of dollars.
Absolutely. Well, I guess we're 1 hour and 2 minutes into this. I guess I'll go and start ending us off here. And I want to thank y'all for joining us tonight. This has been a very, very fun live stream, and I really appreciate y'all joining tonight. And I had fun, and that thing that we put in the middle there, with the buttons, that was funny too. I think everybody all that too.
Well, we hope that folks enjoyed it. We appreciate the invite, Grayson.
We really do, Grayson. We had a really good time hanging out with y'all tonight.
Absolutely. Thank y'all. I'm going to try not to press the wrong buttons here, putting you wrong outros. Thank y'all for watching tonight. I'm going to click the thumbs up button. Check out Tim and Hannah's beekeeping channel.
All right. Y'all take care.
Bye, y'all.